Sons on Moose. Got the question? Which takes more intestinal fortitude, football or rugby? I play both. I'm not sure. I'm going to leave it up to you folks to get back to us with what you think is the answer. Now, I'm going to interview two sons who both played the sport and two grandsons who both played the sport, and they're going to give you what they think. Let's see if you can come up with a decision based upon that. The first guy to talk to is my son Bill, who sent this in from Idaho, where he's semi-retired. Take it away, Bill. Tell us what you think.
Dad, that's a great question. Being the oldest of the family next to you, I've played all the sports there are to play. So I'm going to just give you guys an overview before I explain my position on that question. Grew up playing soccer in Scotland, played Pop Warner, played high school football, played rugby in college, rugby after college, and of course semi-pro with LA Heat as a quarterback. There's a big difference between the two sports as far as equipment, to back up the question you asked. So, to go into it, first of all, I want to explain the sport of rugby briefly to you guys. So, rugby players wear tiny shorts similar to underwear, okay? They wear a long sleeve shirt, thick shirt, similar to this Scotland one. And the cleats are more of a boot, but with metal cleats on the bottom, similar to this picture. The rules have changed to protect the player in all the sports. In the beginning, metal cleats are still approved. There's no toe cleat allowed. And now, the sport of rugby is evolving in the future and now to a soft type helmet to protect the player from not only concussion, but other things that could happen. But that's it, right? Then you have your rugby ball, which this guy's flat because it's 30 years old, but it's much more ballooned. It's 4 panels, no laces, similar to a football. Okay? Some rugby players can wear these shoulder pads underneath their jersey, which isn't a lot of protection compared to the NFL players, but it's some. Okay, so moving down, now you have your football cleat, right?
There's Bill in LA Heat. The fire department for the county played all over the country. Boston. They particularly didn't like playing the New York City Police Department. They were a rough bunch. But Bill enjoyed it for years and years and years and was an instructing quarterback.
Metal is not allowed, or aluminum actually is what it is in the rugby cleat. Okay, you have your football with laces, the difference between a rugby ball and a football player. You have a helmet with an old style chin strap versus the newer ones that are hard plastic. Then you have pads in your pants that cover not only your thigh, but your knee. Rugby players do not have that. And then lastly, we move to the shoulder pads. They come in all shapes and sizes. Quarterbacks in some positions have a back protector as well as rear protectors. So, when you come down to it, which sport takes the most? That's a tough question that could be answered by any of the Monahan or the White brothers who played both sports. My thinking is, regardless of one of these two sports, it takes guts to play both sports. Whether you're fully protected in armor as a football player, some positions, like what Riley played, or Matt, they're guards. They're just doing their little head bumping and blocking in the middle. versus what Colin did or I did, where you're blindsided on a slant across the middle, looking at the quarterback, not seeing the free safety. That takes some guts to play that position. On the other hand, rugby, you have a one-on-one tackle with a big Samoan who outweighs you by 200 pounds coming at you is a whole different element without all this protective gear to play that sport. So again, it's deep inside the person. Excuse me. Good beer. Deep inside the person, which one of those sports compared to tennis or golf, non-contact sports, yes, you have to be an athlete, but there's a whole different element to which of these two sports takes the guts. Now, moving on to one more thing. Have I ever found myself in a position where I had to avoid a tackle in a one-on-one situation? The answer to that, deep down inside, yeah. I remember Bull in the Ring, being in line in Pop Warner when I was 8th grade, and switching with the guy in front of me because the stud of the team was gonna be my opponent in Bull in the Ring. I think I might have done that. Or, in rugby, I remember a Samoan coming directly at me, outweighed me by 170 pounds, and I either went high and wrapped in the traditional rugby tackle, or I go low and upend him. That's the method I chose. And unfortunately, I got yelled at by not only the players on the opponent, but my own guys for an illegal tackle. They actually call it a chop tackle. So I probably pussed on that tackle. But as far as any others, I can't. And unfortunately, I got yelled at by not only the players on the opponent, but my own guys for an illegal tackle. They actually call it a chop tackle. So I probably pussed on that tackle. But as far as any others, I can't think of it. It's deep down inside you. You're either going to do it or you don't. And I don't think Monahans or Whites are the type of people you want to ask that question, because none of us shied away. As you, Moose, back in the leather helmet days when...
Yeah, lots of other teams had them. We were lucky to have those fancy plastic ones.
Horses ran the streets when you played football. Things were different, but those guys were tough. They didn't have face masks. They didn't have mouthpieces. They didn't have bigger shoulder pads. So you guys were pretty much the charter members and forefathers of both sports, because football back when you played were similar to rugby. So that's the answer to both my questions as far as I'm concerned, and I hope you enjoy it. Have a great day, and don't drink and drive. I'm going to start off, since he's here in his rugby shirt, and I'm going to ask him what, Matthew, son Matthew, what do you think? What's the fix in my mind as to which is a tougher game? Which takes more intestinal fortitude?
Well, they are very different games, as you mentioned. And for me, playing football, having a helmet on, you took some head rings. You were always protected. Didn't have any major injuries, but I can tell you, in playing rugby, the biggest difference for me in rugby is that, rugby is a ball control sport. In football, you want to hit as hard as you can every time, and that's...
Oh wait.
Go ahead.
You were an all-league guard.
In football.
But there were times in football, when you had to go out and find that modern day backup named Brown.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you and CJ weren't afraid of hitting Brown because he would
Oh, no.
cream you.
We'd have a headache for weeks. Their first move off the ball would be swinging this massive arm and smashing you in the side of the helmet. And every play, you'd come back and your head was spinning in the huddle, and you barely walk up to the next play.
But you weren't afraid to take the next play.
No, I wanted it. I wanted it.
Okay, tell about
That's the crazy part.
Tell about rugby.
But rugby. I was lucky enough to have a coach from England, and we had some players from all around the world. I played for Cal State Fullerton, a university in California, and we had about half our team didn't actually go to school there, what we call ringers. Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, England, and these guys taught us how to play rugby and taught us that it wasn't a game of crashing and hitting as much as it was a game of ball control. So if you could get rid of the ball quickly and you could make a move, you didn't necessarily always have to make that hard hit. Certainly both games was a lot of contact and a lot of fun, but absolutely loved rugby and some of the best times of my life.
I don't remember you getting an injury. Tell me about it. Was there an elk involved?
Well, you remember a little bit. There was a tournament. We were playing a nationally ranked team, and I got the ball midfield, and I was running midfield, feeling pretty good. And then suddenly, I see this guy traipsing at me, and like an elk.
It wasn't a moose.
I think it was a moose. Now you come to say it, moose. But he hit me, bam, with his forearm right in the face, and I kept running. Ball went flying up in the air. The guy, my captain, came over. He said, "Matthew, take a knee." And I said, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" He said, "Your teeth, they're through your lip." so contact, yes. But other than that, I think I got lucky because there were some monsters out there. But
well, it was good talking to you. I still haven't have a fix in my mind. I was never injured. They told me to look tough and mean. I don't think it worked. Yeah, I have explained to you what my dilemma is and trying to understand it. And let me introduce you, Riley White, all-star center for 4 years at Servite High School, up to and including 2 state championships. And he has played rugby to some extent. Why don't you tell me what you think, Ralph? You know what the problem is.
Problem is which one takes more guts to go in and play. For me, right off the bat, is rugby. Quick, short answer. But the reason for me is open field tackling, which we were talking a little bit about. I never had to tackle at Servite. I was always on the offensive line. Even the open field, pull around the guard to go hit the linebacker, for me was never a big deal. Largely because I had something to use my head or protect my head with. So I was just...
Yeah, but wait a minute. You were playing against some pretty studly guys from modern day. And
yeah, Edison. Edison was the big one for me. That middle linebacker, Jordan Zumwalt. He was, him coming around. But I never thought about it.
Yeah.
And trying to think about it now, why did I not think about it? To me, it's the pads. But I definitely thought a lot about it in rugby. For me, the quick little hits, the rucking, the scrums, I didn't think about because it was what I knew. And when it came time to tackle somebody in open field, I played a little bit of 8-man.
Yeah.
Back of the pack when I was in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
And I'd have to come around and meet their 8-man in open field, or come off the scrum and meet their fly half or something like that in open field. I definitely thought about it. I was never, ever good at open field tackling.
Okay.
So for me, rugby takes more guts to go in and play than football. Even though we're talking about you might not have as much contact in rugby, you might go several minutes without contact. As a guy in the pack, I still got a lot of contact fairly quickly, but it was quick. 5 yards, run in, ruck over somebody, hold your ground, and the ball goes out.
Right.
I'll miss a phase, and then I'm right back in for the next phase.
Right.
But it was all 5-10 yards.
Right.
And anything past that, where I had to tackle somebody, not so much go and defend my teammate. Or the best ruck I ever had was playing with Colin. He had some guy on top of him, and I saw Colin basically ball, and you see red, one because it's your brother, but also your teammate, and I go and just absolutely plow over this guy that wasn't ready for it.
Right.
So rucking wasn't the issue for me. Tackling was definitely the issue of
I'm going to ask a
keeping my head
question
down.
here, and you can either
Questions from the
gallery here.
chicken gallery.
This is Nanny here. Riley, which sport did you like the best, and did you love football or rugby?
That's a harder question.
Sure, there are aspects of both.
Yeah, definitely aspects of both. The brotherhood and camaraderie at Servite, I loved that. So I loved football in that aspect. I don't know if I ever quite made it to love with rugby. I definitely liked it and I loved to play it, but I think I had a better experience with Servite. No particular reason. It was just.
There's the state championship of Servite, and Riley's in the front, the blonde-haired kid. Man, are they happy.
You had some injuries too, right?
Yeah.
Which were those in?
The biggest was my second rugby game I've ever played in. First one, the entire family showed up to, which was a big deal because everybody told me I'm not going to play rugby until after Servite. I was going in for a try, and big old prop came in and jumped on my ankle and rolled, and basically tore all the ligaments in my ankle and broke my fibula.
Yeah.
Oh,
Second game of rugby ever played.
and the
And everybody in the family freaked out because I started to grab my knee. I couldn't, it was so much pain, I could not grab my ankle, so I grabbed my knee and I'm rolling down, and everybody thought I
Your
destroyed
mom was
my
on the
knee.
field. She's the nurse. You know,
Yeah.
she would run out.
Yeah. Mom went out.
Oh,
Billy,
it's his leg.
yeah, Billy and Matt ran out and helped me get in the car, and I had fingers and stuff like that with football, but nothing like that, nothing big.
Well, let me wrap up a little bit by what I liked best about rugby, which I played in Scotland, and the way it worked. They built teamwork. In the locker room, there weren't showers. It was a big 20 by 20 tub. And I guess it was about 3 foot deep, full of hot water, and you were full of mud, and you went in there, and so did the other team. And there might have been 4 games going on, and once they were all in there, the water was kind of muddy. But after you had your tub, you didn't want to mad at the other team at that point,
Yeah.
and you all went into the bar and drank a couple of pints.
Yep.
And that was why I liked rugby
Yeah.
in Scotland.
That luckily that carried over to the States. That we never went to go hang out with Mater Dei after we played them. But rugby, no matter what, in high school, definitely in college, you go out and you get everybody hammered and have a good time, and
It's rugby and beer.
rugby and beer. Shoot the boot.
Thanks, Bo. You're going to love this.
That was a great interview with Riley. And coming up, and here they are in this picture, playing together. You're going to love the next interview with Colin.
Hello, everybody. This is our 4th interview, the 3rd of whom is a firefighter, county, city, another city man. He's played both sports, and he knows what I'm trying to figure out. So, Colin White. Go ahead.
So Colin White again. I don't know what number I am, grandchildren, 15 or something like that. But so yeah, I grew up playing football. Didn't start playing rugby until freshman year in high school, and I think I've got a fairly good opinion about both because I was playing slot receiver in high school, practicing against arguably one of the hardest hitting linebackers in Orange County football history, getting beat up by him with lead bad passes and stuff on a daily basis.
That's what you call bad pass. But I don't remember Bill ever doing those. But if people send you over the middle, they're going to chest you. What was his name?
That was Matt Inman.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So, when I was running practice squad or whatever, and I had a terrible backup quarterback leading me into it, like, you know, Billy was probably. I was getting beat up by him on a daily basis. So, couple that with playing fly half most of my rugby career. That was after my first year playing flanker, where my coach, my Uncle Matt, taught me, your job as the flanker is to make the fly half terrified to do his job. So I went from flanker, getting taught to try to kill the fly half, to you're gonna be the fly half now.
That's Colin, the fearless fly half. Go, Colin.
So
Somebody was terrifying you then.
someone, well, I don't get scared that easy, but but seeing guys that I played against in football on the rugby field, and here's the answer to my question, is way scarier seeing them on the rugby field than in football. Because you could be going across the middle in football with zero fear. I've gotten hit by the hardest of them and popped up and ran another play. That same guy in rugby has hit me where I took a while to get up from. So I can't remember the name of him in particular, but he was the nose guard for Orange Lutheran, and then he played 8-man for Back Bay Rugby. Probably the hardest I've ever been hit in football or rugby ever was trying to stand up to that guy. So rugby is definitely, I think, or in my opinion, rugby is the toughest.
But it didn't scare you because I know that you went down to Arizona to try out for the United States. What was it? United States All-Star team?
I was on the, I was trying out for the high school All-American All-Star team, where we got one test match against the local Arizona All-Star team, Arizona State All-Star team. And those are some big kids. And I would say if I hadn't played football, and I hadn't played football at such a high level, playing at Servite, my opinion would probably be a little different. But the mindset that playing there gets you in, the no fear, don't hesitate, because if you don't hesitate, then it's not going to hurt as bad. Still gonna hurt, but it's not as bad if you go all in. So I think I had a more of a mental leg up on some of the other players, which I think is the only reason that got me there in the first place. I was obsessed with it.
Oh yeah, Colin truly did love this game. Go, buddy.
My first practice, that's all I thought about was, watching pros play, watching their body position, and how I can use that with football, with wrestling, using my body position to take advantage of some of the bigger players. But even with all that training, rugby still takes the cake.
As far as being a tough game in your underpants?
Being a tough game in your underpants, yeah.
Okay.
I think you took any regular person and who's never played a sport in their life, threw them on a football field, they'd be able to do it. You throw them on a rugby field, I think they'd be hiding on the sideline a little bit. Like any wingers out there.
Well, I think that's about wraps it up. Let me add one little capper to that. Your younger brother, Hayden, never played football, and they threw him on the rugby field when he was like 9 years old.
This is true.
And I've got a picture of him running, looks like a rabbit running from the dogs.
Yeah.
And look at that little guy. And he's only 10. Go, go,
He was
go.
surprising too. No one ever would have thought he would have been as mean as he came out to be. But
High school and college.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I
Good old
I hope
Aiden.
he keeps going with it.
Thank you.
It's awesome. It was good.
It was fun, wasn't it?
That was fun.
When you see the finals.
Yeah. See what everyone else said.
Well, there you are. Are you a little puzzled? I am. I have some thoughts formed, and I'm going to leave it up to you folks to see if you can come up with a firm decision as to which takes more guts. You got a little slant from the guys, but not definitive. As they say, ring the bell. Don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts. Love you guys.